getting on Postal was very life-changing because business changing, I would say, because SaaS is fast. I love saying that. Sales velocity, this, all these terminology, I'm listening to Chris Walker at the same time. And so now I'm like kind of getting my whole entire LinkedIn is changing because now I'm starting to follow more like people in tech sales. And you just started seeing like order volume increasing. It was like a really business changing moment when we got on there.
Hey, I'm Karina.
And I'm Taylor.
And this is Direct, a podcast we created to showcase the creativity and hard work of go-to-market teams everywhere.
We're here to share the stories and experiences of the hardworking, passionate individuals who make up go-to-market teams, the ones who truly make the magic happen.
Taylor and I have been fortunate enough to work side by side on some incredible projects together, and now we want to put a spotlight on the unsung heroes behind some of the best go-to-market campaigns out there.
In each episode, you'll hear from individual contributors who have gone above and beyond to make a difference. They'll share their challenges, victories, and the lessons they've learned along the way, all to help you unlock the next step in your career. Get ready to be inspired, learn something new, maybe even share a laugh or two.
Welcome to Direct. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Direct. I can't believe that these two words are synonymous now, and it's because of this gentleman we have on the show. And those two words are LinkedIn and cookies. I never, ever could have seen this coming. This came out of left field. I give major props to this husband and wife duo. I am so proud to present and have on our show today Grayson Hogard of Grove Company, which is a delicious cookie of any kind. Oreo, I think, is now my favorite, in addition to sprinkles, which I never thought I would say in my life. They are based out of Portland, Oregon. Grayson, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Karina. Thank you, Taylor. It's an honor to be asked. So thank you.
We are so excited to have you on, and I can't wait to get into your story and the huge impact you've made across LinkedIn lately. But first, we always ask a question right at the beginning, and that is, if you had a magic wand and you could change anything about your job, how you've created your company, even, something going on in your life right now, what would you use that instant changing magic wand on?
Cookies were made instantly.
Ooh.
So, the production time, just like this, boom, cookies ready to ship. That'd
Done.
be great. Done. Order comes in, cookies go out. But, manufacturing has its own limitations. It's not as fast as SaaS, but CAS is doing its thing. So, yeah, that's my magic wand right now.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, Grayson, give us a little bit about your background, because I don't think people may know the story and the origin of how this came to be, but you are not a marketer by trade. I don't even know if you're a cookie maker or baker by trade. So you are neither of these things, but you're crushing both of these things. So
Thank you.
Give our audience a little bit of an insight into who is Grayson, how did this come to be the cookie guy trademark?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I've just always been the class clown, little out there, kid in the back making way too much noise, kind of that thing. So I don't know if that necessarily has evolved in maybe this kind of unknown marketing capabilities, but could be. Yeah, like you said, I don't have a marketing background. I don't have a cookie making background. Actually, my background is in logistics. So warehousing, supply chain, which worked really well with shipping cookies. So you kind of knock out that part, which is probably the hardest, is manufacturing deliverability. And then, so then this kind of marketing bubble that we found ourselves in is actually new. The whole cookie thing started because, in 2020, we all know what was going on. My wife was working from home. I was actually still traveling. I was in an apprenticeship type deal. So I was gone a lot, and my wife's at home working from home. Just kind of found herself having a lot of extra time on her hand in between meetings. So she's like, I want a side hustle. And anyways, she's not a baker by trade. And
wow.
Yeah, this is amazing. It's amazing how it happens. So November of 2020 rolls around. She's like, kind of want to try baking. My mom had bought us a mixer in 2019. It sat in the attic, essentially, unused, unopened. So she's like, I'm going to try baking. So, she tried cupcakes at first, and then she made the cookies, the Oreo cookies.
Those were the first ones?
Those are
Oh
the
my
first ones.
God. That's
Recipe
Way to nail it
hasn't
on the
changed.
first try. Way to nail it.
Well, when I had my first bite, I consider myself to be quite the cookie connoisseur. I had my first bite and I'm like, wow, this is like soft all the way, outside, middle. There's no like crunch.
Yes.
There's no, I always like the middle of the cookie. Well,
Yes.
this whole cookie was the middle of the cookie. So I just thought it was good. I'm not an entrepreneur. Wasn't, it's hard for me to say I am, but yeah. So that November 2020 timeframe, Christmas rolls around. She's making the cookies more often. She made like a white chocolate peppermint that was delicious. And so, I think she got a lot of feedback from like myself and my friends, like, wow, Marie, these cookies are so good. Just kind of motivated her. So in January of 2021, she made the mistake of going, I think we should try and sell these. And
why'd you say mistake?
Because over the weekend, I got like our EIN, logo, website, just like the whole thing done. It started on Friday, finished on Sunday. The next week we launched. Yeah.
I was going to ask, is it what we're looking at today or has it evolved?
Well, the website has changed, but the logo is the same. Really, the messaging is the same. Kind of everything. So it was really easy to like start an online business, believe it or not. And so January 31st, we launched Grove Cookie Company with the idea of becoming Instagram famous and posting cookies, beautiful photos of cookies, right? And I'll kind of stop there if you want to ask any questions.
Well, it sounds like maybe Instagram ended up not being the prolific channel.
You are right. Wow. How'd you guess that?
just a little guess.
Just a little hunch. Yeah. So yeah.
What made you, because that is such a hard market to tap into, right? Because so many people are doing it. So many people are making the breads, the pasta, spaghetti. I mean, I look at all of them, and to be honest with you, I have a lot of saved videos that I can't differentiate between brand because they're so similar. So did you find yourself in a similar situation where you felt like it was so hard to differentiate and stand out in such a crowded market for that already?
Well, what we realized is no one really wants to go to someone's townhouse and buy cookies.
Good point.
Yeah. So it's like you have these like visions like, oh, we're going to become Instagram famous and post cool photos of cookies. And people are going to come to our townhouse in suburbia and buy the cookies. It's just like, it doesn't work.
During COVID.
Yeah. During COVID. Right. So what was very fortunate within that week of launching. So in February, I took the cookies to one of my buddy's house. Him and his dad have a really well-established wealth advisory firm, and wealth advisors, financial planners do a lot of client gifting. I'm on the low tier status of their book, so I don't get these gifts, but for the higher ticket clients, they get touch points, birthdays, anniversaries, all that. So they're really good at it. I took the cookies over there, and his dad loved them. And he goes, Grayson, can you ship these? And I was like, I think so. Just kind of that confidence, logistics, warehousing background, right? Yeah, sure. Why not? So yeah, we shipped them out the next day. They got them the next day. They're like, wow, they didn't break. All right, we want to start using these as client gifts for all of our, 500 clients, right? So that immediately was like B2B, right? Because
right.
You have 500 clients for the year that you're going to be providing cookies to, right? His clients, obviously, but from a fulfillment standpoint, it was like a consistent monthly like ordering system.
Can you give me a little bit of a demographic of, because I would say wealth advisory firms are not the most, how should I kindly say this, socially sophisticated when it comes to marketing themselves. So were their clients more, you don't have to say who they are, but were they more inclined to like help promote you in a sense, word of mouth, like on social channels? Is that what happened or no? No. Okay. So you are still in a lane where you're getting somewhere. We haven't landed the fandom that you have today.
Correct. Correct.
Got it.
But
Okay.
so they were our first client for 6 months.
Okay.
They're still our client actually. So that's really exciting. Rolled with them for 6 months. And then through some kind jabbing, my friends were like, you should try and see if other wealth advisors want to send cookies to their clients. And again, like I don't have marketing, I don't have sales background. All my friends are in SaaS. So I've heard the SDR stories. I've heard like cold calling. I've heard all these like corporate bro kind of video things, right?
Okay.
So I was like, they've all done cold calling. Why can't I? And
totally.
it was just one of those things. So yeah, a week later we had our second client. So now I'm like kind of getting like that rush. I'm like, oh wow, this was semi-easy. And you know,
barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, barely an inconvenience. So that was June. Then LinkedIn happened. So I was listening to a podcast. At this point, I was listening to entrepreneurial podcasts, and a guy had a gal come on who was talking about B2B and LinkedIn. If you're B2B and you're not on LinkedIn, you are missing out on a chance of a lifetime, right? And I was not on LinkedIn. I had the same photo I have, but never did anything on it, you know? And then LinkedIn happened. So that was that July 2021 timeframe. And then, kind of started moving from there.
LinkedIn happened. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. I know you are such an incredible storyteller. Authentically, I think that lends itself to sales and to marketing and just being naturally gifted in that way. And you're not taking quite enough credit for the logistics work that did have to make this happen, because shipping cookies in this neat little box and not having them crack is impressive. But I'd love to hear a little bit more the LinkedIn story. So it wasn't day one, snap your fingers and you're going viral. What happened?
So I don't know if school, because I was, taking, literature classes and writing classes, like writing was just becoming a little more, it was just kind of top of mind. And LinkedIn at that point was text, right? LinkedIn just kind of happened. I figured that was like the easiest way to get in front of more wealth advisors. They all pretty much have LinkedIn pages. They don't use them, but a nice little connection request with the free sample box of cookies, worked its way. It still worked. And I would not say I found my voice in those early days. I was just like trying not to be made fun of by my friends because they're all on LinkedIn. And so I was just toying around with it. And so for the first 6 months on LinkedIn, so like the rest of 2021, it was just more or less kind of just figuring it out, like trying to see what works. I got Canva, so I'm like trying to like do like cool things, anyways. So for about that first 6 months leading into 2022, it was just trying to figure it out. A lot of connection requests. Let's just say that.
When did you realize that? And if you could describe for us like that exact moment in time when you realize like, holy shit, I just cracked the ultimate like LinkedIn algorithm. I am now synonymous as the cookie guy on LinkedIn. Do you remember that point in time?
Yeah. Well, that was in 2023. So that kind of like we had been doing this whole thing for the last, really since 2022. Started listening to a marketing podcast. Do
you remember which one?
Chris Walker.
Refine Labs. Okay. Yep.
Refine Labs.
Yep.
And I started kind of moving away from like, oh my gosh, I need sales first, like a sales first mentality. I need to actually like create a brand or create some sort of like momentum. He always says that, but like creating momentum for like what Grove Cookie Company is, because we are just a cookie company, but what differentiates us. So again, like early 2022, I'm still, I'm just starting to listen to it. I'm just starting to put kind of like pieces together. He does a good job of explaining it, of how like things work. But then, the contact us form that he always champions, how did you hear about us? I put that in
field text form. Yeah.
Yeah. I put that in my contact us corporate order request form, and I started getting LinkedIn submissions. Good. So that was like my signals. So we're now kind of picking up samples. My two buddies that work in SaaS connected me with their VP of marketing, because my friends have been huge champions of Grove Cookie Company. So like that's huge. They connected me to their VP of marketing, and that's when we got exposed to SaaS and B2B gifting. and we got on Postal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Ah, well, Taylor and I both love Postal.
Yeah.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Postal. They're gonna
Yeah.
love to hear this.
Yeah.
They love highlighting unique vendors and
do.
local vendors, and that's a
They
big
do.
differentiator for them. And that I'm so glad that that was your first experience into direct mail gifting platforms, because they're definitely, I think Taylor and I's they're up there. Yeah, they're up there for us.
Well, that's so great. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Major like friends and family for sure. Yeah. So okay, so you got exposed to this. Now you're not mentioning the friends' names, and we can cut this if you want, but is that intentional?
No, I can name them. I just don't know if you guys know them. Like,
That's
I didn't.
okay. I will see.
Yeah.
I want to give a spotlight
Yeah.
to them too, because
Yeah. So they both work at a company called WorkStep, which they work with more manufacturing companies on like their employee retention programs. Their names are Austin Hope and Brendan Goodling. We've been friends since elementary school. Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I have the same nucleus of friends from elementary school. middle school.
really,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah.
that's
So
powerful.
yeah, and it's just amazing to think like no one has ever like they've been so supportive, right, of this
Yeah.
whole endeavor, right? So yeah, very fortunate. They were just champion. They're like, we need to send Grove Cookie Company to our prospects or like touch points like this, because they knew I was working with the wealth advisor community. And then that's when the VP, his name is Mark Bell, who's been at Mark Bell, very thankful. He works at a different company now. I can't remember it. But yeah, that's them championing our services. And then Mark Bell going, you need to be on Postal, because at the time I think WorkStep was using Postal. You need to be on here so we can start utilizing you. And yeah, once we got on Postal, it was like really cool, because I filled out their vendor submission form, and a gal named Leslie Chilton reached out, and she was just like, hi, thank you so much for filling out like a vendor. Yeah, it was just such a warm welcome.
Yeah.
Right? And that was my first introduction to SaaS. So I just have this perception of everyone in SaaS as being very happy and awesome, which is, I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't met a grumpy one. So kudos.
Yeah. Well, speaking of kudos, I want to take a second to shout out, first of all, your friends groups for being so incredibly supportive. My husband's also an entrepreneur. Shout out to you for supporting your wife in all of that. And the very beginning, just going for it. I mean, that is incredible. And we don't see that enough. And that's kind of the reason Karina and I wanted to even create this podcast, is to take a second and recognize the people who are supporting each other, making the magic happen in all of these. So just want to take a second. I'm glad that you named names on that friend group, because what a powerful group of people to support you in all of this.
Yeah, I know I'm on this video, but my wife is the backbone of this company. Yeah, this doesn't happen without her.
Let's
One,
give
because
her a quick shout out too. What's her name?
Yeah, so her name's Marie Grove, and yeah, she's the real rock star. I'm just the talking piece, but
You're the dynamic duo. That's what you are.
I will say I do agree with you, Karina. Well said.
Yeah.
Better than I could have said. So yeah, she made almost 40,000 cookies from home. So there's a cool story from like the Postal onboarding to before we moved into our cookie shop. That's really just
I'd love to hear that.
Let's get into it.
Yeah. So getting on Postal was very life-changing, because business changing, I would say, because SaaS is fast. I love saying that. Sales velocity, this, all these terminology, I'm listening to Chris Walker at the same time. And so now I'm like kind of getting my whole entire LinkedIn is changing, because now I'm starting to follow more like people in tech sales. And we just started seeing like order volume increasing. It was like a really business changing moment when we got on there.
I mean, was that terrifying for a second though? You're like, whoa, this many orders just came in right away.
Yeah, because we're used to more of like a controlled, because we were on like a monthly kind of like, hey, we need these cookies sent out like on this day to these clients. Whereas now Postal is linked into our Shopify. And so orders just come in, right? Like we don't control it. We're a drop shipper in theory. And so we're just fulfilling, which is great. It's way easier that way. I don't need to converse over email and submit orders. But yeah, so like that exposure, you started getting like that's kind of like the birth of like my introduction to the SaaS world. Still not the cookie guy yet. still not. But
Okay.
we're sending out samples at this point to people on LinkedIn. So that's kind of because that's what I had been doing with the wealth advisors. So I figured out just on Postal's website, I just went to their website. They have client testimonials. So I just started targeting account executives at said companies and be like, hey, my name's Grayson. We're a new vendor on Postal Grove Cookie Company. Love to send you a sample. That's my message, kind of a cleaner version of that. I can't remember off the top of my head. And that's how that all started.
Who says no to free cookies? Honestly, that had to work like 95% of the time.
you got a lot of responses like, I really love this cold connection request. And, for some people, they kind of realize like, oh, if this worked for this guy
For me,
send cookies, why couldn't it work for me? Like,
yeah.
if I'm showing goodwill first, right? Like, that's all I'm doing. Showing goodwill. Hi, Karina. Hi, Taylor. You want to try the cookies? However that works out, and I'm obviously using a targeted approach, just like any sales or marketing professional would do. So, yeah, that's how that.
That's marketing 101. And it's a give versus get mentality. And I think in this era of just companies having to be doing more with less, slashing budgets, people are getting layoffs, like that fundamental aspect of what marketing should be, which is to provide value to your consumers, is getting lost because of the pressure and force of just the economic, headwinds that we're in. But the fact that you still persevered and still led with that give mentality, I have heard sales SDR leaders beg for people to put Grove Cookie Company into their gifting platform of whatever kind it is because of the success you had with that messaging strategy. So it's very intentional what you did. And it's sad that that's such a rare thing that people are doing, right? Like it's very obvious to most people when you're spamming them or advertising them. So you stood out in a way because you weren't taking that approach. You were just giving. So I just want to take a moment and like have all of us sit with that's something to be learned from. Like in these times when people are strapped with budget constraints and layoffs, etc., it's still important to remember that the person that you're trying to engage with on the other side is probably facing similar challenges. And in your first introductory point should not be, what am I going to get out of you? Right?
Yeah.
It should be, what can I give to you? So just, I want to take a pause and just say like, kudos to you for just doing basic marketing 101. Like most people aren't doing that.
Yeah. I mean, you hit it right on the head, especially, I'm not just throwing free samples out because I want to.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, like, if I see AE on someone's title or ABM manager or demand gen leader, like, I obviously know that my cookies can provide value to them, but I'd rather them it's just instituting goodwill first. I feel like give first, ask second is like, I don't show up to someone's house and take or ask what I could have. It's, I show up to someone's house and give first. So.
You embody that. And I have experienced that. Taylor has experienced that from you. And thousands of marketers and sales professionals, I think at this point on LinkedIn, have experienced that from you. And even in your personal note, like it's so personalized when you receive this box of cookies. There's a note that you put inside that was personalized. Yeah, there you go.
My note.
And it was very sweet and kind. It was from both you and your wife, which I also appreciated. I'm sure Taylor noticed too. So you're definitely like, you're doing hyper personalization, and that's not really something you can do at scale, which is hard for a lot of demand generation or ABM marketers or sales professionals to realize. It takes this grit and grind, and you're doing it, and you're still doing it with integrity and thoughtfulness. And so I applaud you for that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's just it just is coming off naturally.
It does.
And the whole entire outreach. So appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Who named you the cookie guy? Was it us, your audience, or you? I'm curious.
No. So like in February, a gal was walking up to our shop. She was not coming into our shop. We have like a little staircase out front. I was on the phone with Expedia doing something completely irrelevant to the story, but I'm like walking out and I always just say howdy because I
Love
just think
it.
it's funny because I'm from Oregon. But
Oh, is that an
I just,
Oregon thing? I didn't realize that. We're both from the South ourselves, so I didn't realize that's an Oregon thing. Howdy.
no, it's not. So it throws
Okay.
people off. Yeah, it throws people off. I'm like, are you from Texas? I'm like, no, we're from the other
Got it.
best state. Yeah. So it's just immediate. It's funny.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm decked out in Grove Cookie Company. I got my hat. I had my shirt on at the time. And I just am walking by. I'm on the phone. And she like looked at me and then looked up. And our sign, says Grove Cookie Company. And she goes, "You're the cookie guy from LinkedIn." And I turned around. I'm on the phone. I'm like, "Thanks for the LinkedIn post." And so that's how like that all worked. The cookie guy kind of originated. It's literally just that gal, obviously didn't know my name, but we're connected on LinkedIn and she's just been seeing my marketing,
Yep.
over and over and over and over again. And so you're the cookie guy. So that's the cookie guy. That's the story.
What led you to wanting to trademark it? Because that's a very smart move and actually a very tedious process that I don't think many people realize.
Oh, well, it's not trademarked. I just throw the TM on there.
Ah.
I just don't care. It's my second favorite emoji. So it's just an emoji, right? So, either a laugh face or a TM, right?
I think you should trademark it.
I should get it registered.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
So we actually got Grove Cookie Company registered. It wasn't terrible, but it was like 8 months. The TM, you could throw TM on anything because it actually doesn't mean anything.
Right. You're right on that. Correct.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that either. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look at my headline on LinkedIn, it says TM, 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 because everything I just think of, I just throw a TM, right?
I'm gonna start doing that. Can I steal that?
It's so funny. I think people will be in the comment section like dropping like funny things like care. Cookies are really effective. Dude, I'm like, bro, you got to trademark that. He's like, no, it's yours. I'm like, whatever. I'll throw a trademark on it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, the trademark is just a goofball thing. Like
Okay.
I said, it's just funny because when people ask, it's like, I'm totally kidding. So
well, no, but you're right though. You can just throw TM, and give the appearance that you're in the process of getting it registered. But I do recommend you doing so because the time is like the moment is now. Whether you want to do it or not is your personal choice, of course, you and your wife. But I think it would behoove you to do so.
Well, thank you. You have motivated me to do it again. I will pay the $500 to get it registered.
Amazing.
Great.
Yeah.
So
So
it's like the 3-year overnight success, right? Because you've just exploded recently on LinkedIn of course, I think that's a testament to you giving first without expectation. And then all of these people, I looked for the cookie guy, I looked for your name on LinkedIn, and everything that pops up is a picture from an influencer that is eating their cookies. Actually, I have to tell you, my mail ran faster than Karina's the day that you sent us these cookies. And about 2 hours after I ate half of them, Karina was like, "Don't eat them yet. We need to open them on the podcast." I was like, "Oops, I ate 3 of them."
Yeah,
they were so delicious.
Yeah.
And then that gave me the permission to open the box too, because I was just dying staring at it because I wanted to try them so bad. And oh my God, you cannot stop eating them. And I am not a sprinkle cookie fan. I can't believe your wife made me a sprinkle cookie fan, which leads me to just a fun question. What is your favorite cookie out of the bunch? And what is your wife's favorite cookie out of the bunch?
My wife gets really mad when I say this. My favorite cookie is Snickerdoodle, which is not on the menu.
Why not?
Ooh.
It's just difficult for our team in the back. You got to roll the dough balls in the sugar, and you got to do. It's just a bigger mess, and so we're trying to keep things as lean as possible with our current menu, and then we have our monthly rotating flavor. Just trying not to throw too many complications into the mix. So it works well. Obviously, being on the gifting platforms, it's better to have a consistent menu than, you know,
Yep.
the whole
A
Yeah.
thousand things to choose from.
a
Yeah.
thousand things to choose from. It just makes life a lot easier. Plus, I mean, Oreo's really good too. So if I'm going to say something, I know
So
it's
good.
It's just,
Oreo's
it's like,
fantastic.
yeah. So my wife's favorite cookie, she likes double chocolate. So double
I
chocolate.
didn't
Both
get
chocolate
that.
people.
Yeah.
I didn't get that one in my
So-
sample pack. I'm gonna have to
Ooh.
order. I'm gonna have to order some more
Yeah.
for some double
Well,
chocolate.
We'll be here for you. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of interesting how 2023 played out. Kind of going back to like the cookie guy, how like that
Yeah.
kind of came about. In at the beginning of 2023, I was invited to a Sendoso. Like this is like my first event I've ever been invited to, but I got invited to Elevate. That was like a cool experience to like talk. So this is my first time talking to like professional marketers in the B2B space. So that was like a really cool experience speaking with, the talented people in SaaS marketing, which also kind of like cemented our kind of like role in kind of like this partnership world we are in, because we are a vendor on 5 platforms now, B2B gifting platforms. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's very exciting, very honored, because we just celebrated a year with Postal. So, in less than a year, we were on 5. So yeah, and that just kind of goes to show you like what marketing does. But yeah, so that Elevate kind of worked itself out, and just like building more rapport with like the Sendoso folks created more opportunities for our cookie company. So like, obviously working with Sendoso's clients on like their outreach campaigns. So like we work with their marketing team for a specific company that does, like ZocDoc, or like doctor office, like
Oh, sure.
enhancement. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, bringing like a digital experience to like booking an appointment with a doctor. Well, this company
Yeah.
we work with, through Sendoso, really a good buddy of mine was on Sendoso, linked me up with this company, and now like that infusion, if you will, has really like catapulted our business from a few different ways. Number one, it prevented me from doing cold calls because we got so busy with this, with these projects. But in doing so, it made me realize we needed another like tool to like improve our prospecting. And this is where like the kind of crazy like marketing started coming through, that you guys probably saw on LinkedIn. We got a new tool on our storefront that allowed for magic link gifting, similar to how you guys got cookies, right?
Yep.
So that was the change agent. So getting more busy from Sendoso, not having the ability to cold call anymore. I'm like really forced. Like, how do I strategize like marketing? And got blessed to be united with a company called Zest, that gave us the magic link capability. So it's really interesting how this all played out, because a lot of people would assume that I just was targeting people because I thought they would influence our brand. It's really interesting because I literally just sent cookies to people that I've been engaging with for like the last like year. So I don't know, like Nick Bennett from AirMe used to be at Alice. Yeah, like Darren McKees. There's just like so many big names that I've just been engaged with, never have promoted, never have sent them my cookies because it's just awkward to ask for an address. But now that we got this new company on board, it allowed us to, like, I sent over 150 samples in 3 months.
Which previously, for a comparison, what would it have been previously without that?
20.
Wow. Okay.
And it would have been all people I had to cold call, really, for the most part. So you talk about like flooding the market in a sense, flooding the market while also inadvertently like sending them to people that wanted to post about cookies, created a unique whirlwind effect for for Grove Cookie Company. And I literally didn't even think about it. I know that's kind of crazy, but I didn't expect it to happen like that. So it's pretty cool.
You certainly are an amazing story, and one that I think will be super inspiring for people who, I mean, it's just the reality of the change the world has had over the past 3 years. Like, the future of work like is continuously evolving and changing, and the way we go to market, the way we do business. Again, the cookie guy is not a marketer, you know? The cookie, does she call herself the cookie lady?
No. No. That'd be funny
Okay.
though.
I
That'd
like
be
it. I
funny.
like it.
Yeah, do it.
Your wonderful wife, like she was not
Yeah.
a baker by trade, but you guys just believed in each other and believed in your product and your vision. And that allowed your inner circle, which I think is super important for people to have, like an inner circle of advisors that lift you up, build you up, and help you get out there. And then it was just little milestones of success after success, which I'm sure you had a lot of rejection in between,
Mhm.
or you know, a lack of confidence, but you kept going and going and going. And now you are literally synonymous with a massive, one of the most massive social media platforms in the world, which is LinkedIn,
Yeah.
which was not your idea, right? Like you thought it would be
Mhm.
Instagram, and it became LinkedIn. So I think it's
Yeah.
a really big testament to your agility to be able to adapt your original vision, right?
Yeah.
Of we're gonna land on Instagram, but you pivoted, and with the help of your advisors, and but really just the brute grit of you and your wife making this happen. So just want to give a quick kudos to you on that and let you soak that in for a second.
Well, thank you.
You're so welcome.
It's yeah, it means a lot because, like I said, like you just mentioned, I'm not a marketer, but some things just keep happening that are very marketing driven. So it's an honor to hear that. So
Yeah.
thank
You
you.
you are a marketer.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't want to hear that anymore. It lends perfectly to your story, but I
Yeah.
mean, at this point, you know, like I was saying, 3-year overnight success. Like you shared so much of the credit for your success with the team and the network that you have to support you.
Yeah.
But I want to take a second and say, wow, just the courage to get out and do it, the tenacity to take on these different markets that you guys hadn't even thought, the ability to pivot, and you are a salesperson and a marketer, very much so. So no more saying you're not a marketer. That was incredible, and I hope that you do today sit and think about and recognize in yourself the work that took and the value that you created for yourself in addition to all these people that helped.
Well, really appreciate it. Really couldn't do it without the community. That's for darn sure. And it's a cool community that we all have on LinkedIn because it does kind of feel like I wouldn't call it a neighborhood effect, but it does kind of have like a fun support mentality to it,
Yes, yeah.
which
Absolutely.
I think if you're put yourself out there, I think a lot of people really like champion you. And I think that's more or less most of the world in general. We just are fortunate enough to have a social media platform to like really broadcast that. So
Well, and
very
I think
appreciative.
I think to echo that is you did it in your authentic way, and that's what people connect with and relate to. So that's good advice for anybody that might attempt to do the same thing that you did. But Grayson, we had our first question for you with the magic
Yeah.
wand.
Yeah.
I have a few thoughts of my own, but I want to get your take on it first. After talking through with Taylor and I, the origin, the time frame between launch and where you are today, your magic wand was to have instant production time, which you've mentioned quite a bit of manufacturing contacts. So I have some thoughts of my own, but have you walked away from this conversation thinking a little bit differently about how maybe that wish of that magic wand could be achieved? Maybe not right away, but maybe you could start on that path to get towards that.
Yeah. Buy bigger equipment. When you say like that, it immediately just goes like that. Cause we have a coach, a business coach that kind of like is bringing that out of me. Cause like I said, I'm not an entrepreneur by trade. So kind of like thinking about like how in the next like 5 years looks,
Yeah.
getting that like mindset, because that's how you have to really think. You do have to be present, but you do have to be thinking about growth in general. So yeah, that magic wand, I need it.
A lot
Yeah.
of what you've done is grassroots. Do you,
Yeah.
and that's a really good tactic in marketing a lot of times. And my idea, which could be just total beat crap, but my idea for you is actually to maybe start attending some of these manufacturing conferences
Yeah.
and sharing your success story and then seeing who approaches you about wanting to do business with you, because that's going to be inspirational for them. You're
Yeah.
giving them some marketing in addition. And Taylor actually comes from marketing for a manufacturing company. And it is lame. The marketing is pretty lame.
It is. No shame.
Yes.
It is.
So, Taylor, would you not agree that Grayson having a case study or just even walking the show at a trade show, do you not think a lot of people would be interested in wanting to explore opportunities with Grayson?
Yeah, absolutely. That is just an incredible opportunity to take what you've done through this grassroots sort of LinkedIn community and get it out into the world where, like you said, some of these hedge fund managers are not really on LinkedIn all day. Some of the people running these manufacturing plants are not on LinkedIn all day. You got to get in front of them.
They are not. They are not.
Yeah.
They are not.
Yeah. The manufacturing sector is definitely something that I have to get more acquainted to, just as we grow, more automation, bigger.
Yeah.
But they do
equipment.
love cookies, because who doesn't love cookies?
Who doesn't love cookies? Cookies open doors.
Yes.
There you go. There's your tagline. There's your
Another
tagline for that
trademark.
vertical. There you go.
There
you
go.
go.
So,
Well,
yeah.
Grayson, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining our podcast. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. You're a huge inspiration for so many people. And I am just so happy to see good people like you and your wife having the success they deserved realize.
Well, thank you both for having me. And it's an honor, really, to be recognized by you two. And I mean, the fact that you guys extended an offer to me, it means a lot. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Grayson.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you are an official friend of the show, and I hope we'll all stay in touch. And I am going to have to up my exercise routine, but I am going to keep buying Grove Cookie Company cookies because they are delicious. So thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Grayson.
Thank you.
Ordering
both.
double
Really
chocolate
appreciate it.
now.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Direct with Karina and Taylor.
If you enjoyed what you heard in today's episode, please give us a follow, maybe even a 5-star review, wherever you listen to your podcast.
And if you know someone that you'd like to spotlight, if you want to share your own story, visit us at motionagency.io/direct. We'd love to hear from you.